The first one is your mean value theorem. So average value. Okay, so let's say, for example, on my graph here today, this is where I'm sitting, and I'm going to go on a hike later. I'm going to go hike up to Potato Chip Rock. Okay? So my overall from A to B, right? This is me hiking. Okay? From A to B, I have a overall slope. Okay? What is the mean value theorem saying is that this average slope must exist somewhere in the middle. Okay? What that means is that if from here to the top of Potato Chip Rock is an increase of 1,000 feet over this 200 feet, then that means that I have a +5 slope, which is actually very, very, it's almost like hiking like this, right? Okay? Just for the fun of this equation. What that means is for me to get up there, at some point on this climb, I have to have approached that specific slope, because I can't have gotten up there if I never hit that slope. Does that make sense? So let me show you, for example. Let's say, for example, we just have this escalator that just goes straight up there. So that's just the slope. The slope is a 5, and it exists everywhere in between. Okay? Now, let's say, for example, it doesn't go up as quick. It starts off and it goes. Well, if I still want to get up here, whether it's just like that, or I go back up above to come back down, this overall triangle slope must exist minimum at one spot in between. Okay? Here's a better way of saying it. It's saying, if I know that I'm going to this elevation and this is the average amount that it takes to get there, right? The average slope that it takes to get there, I have to have stepped on that slope somewhere in between here and there. Okay? Another way to explain it. If I'm going 60 miles an hour as an average, okay? Does that mean at some point on my drive I had to have hit 60 miles an hour on the on the speedometer? Yeah, because I can't have gone 40 the whole way and averaged 60, right? And I had to have gone over it and then back under it for it to average out. That makes sense? So the mean value theorem is the state that the average value exists in the middle somewhere. Minimum one time. Okay? So let's say for money. Let's say my overall slope from last year to this year was I gained a certain amount, $1,000. Okay? Well, if my money went up and down the entire year, there's multiple points where I was increasing by $1,000. But then there probably were multiple points where I was decreasing that by numbers too. Okay? So mean value theorem is the average slope, average value exists in the middle. Okay? Then IVT is intermediate value theorem. That just means that in the middle,
the interval,
the value exists.
Yeah.
So let me say, for example, if I went from here to 1,000 feet for Potato Chip Rock, does that mean at some point I went at elevation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, all the way up to 1,000, right? Can I assume I went to 1,001? No. Can I assume I went negative to negative 1, negative 2? No. But everything in between this is fair game for sure, because the laws of physics state that I can't just suddenly appear somewhere. I can't teleport. I can't speed up without acceleration, and with acceleration that number must have been passed or gone through at some point. Okay? So mean value theorem is that the average value, the average slope of the whole thing is somewhere there. But the intermediate value theorem is that between these numbers, we have to have gone there. If I went from $0 to $1,000, at some point I had 800, at some point I had 400, and we can make those assumptions and we can calculate for that in the middle. But I can't assume I had $2,000, right? Because it's outside of the range. Okay? Then what's Rolle's theorem?
Isn't that when the
So Rolle's is just mean value theorem at 0. Because what it is if I have $1,000 or I'm at elevation 1,000 and I go back to elevation 1,000, I have to at least have gone up or gone down or up and down multiple times with slopes of 0 that are the same as that overall slope. So the mean value, the overall average slope exists somewhere in the middle as well, right? So it's any time that you have the same, like that's a parabola, right? Parabola has a dip in the middle. There has to be a minimum in between somewhere, okay? So if you're standing at an elevation and you see across to another elevation, the same elevation of you, you have to at least encounter one peak or one valley if it's not just a straight line there. Make sense? Right? Slope is 0.
Okay, so for integrals, and there's MVT for integral.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for the AP test,